Right now, in this exact moment, something is trying to steal your attention, and here's a number that sounds almost fake. One estimate suggests that around 500,000 human lifetimes are wasted every single month, just on scrolling. Not years, not days, lifetimes. That's not an accident, and it's not a personal weakness either. That is a system working exactly as it was designed to work. The man who actually built the infinite scroll feature, the one that lets you keep swiping down forever without ever hitting a stop, has publicly said he regrets creating it. He once said something that stuck with me, that optimizing something to be easy to use does not mean it's good for the person using it. That gap, between easy and good, is where most of modern distraction quietly lives. So here's what most people get wrong about this whole topic. They think distraction is a personal failure, like they just need more willpower, more discipline, more self-control. But that's actually backwards. Distraction isn't happening to you by accident, it's being engineered around you, on purpose, by people who are very good at their jobs. There's even a name in the design world for the sneaky tricks that nudge you into doing things you didn't really intend to do. It's called a dark pattern, and the term wasn't invented by outside critics, it was coined by someone from inside the design industry, calling out his own field. Once you know that term exists, you start noticing it everywhere. Take something as small as the red dot on your notifications. That color isn't random. Red triggers more urgency in your brain than blue or gray ever could, and some platforms have quietly tested removing every notification color except red, because it simply performs better. Better for engagement, that is, not better for you. And once you see this, you can't unsee it, so let's actually understand the machine behind it, because understanding the mechanism is what takes away its power over you. Let's start simple. Imagine your attention is like a garden, and every day you get a limited amount of water. That's your focus, your energy, your mental bandwidth. You can pour that water onto one or two important plants, or you can spray it across hundreds of tiny distractions, and nothing really grows. Most of the apps you use every day are free to download and free to use, but nothing is actually free. If the product costs nothing, you are the product, and specifically, your attention is the product being sold. Here's where it gets genuinely interesting. Your brain has an old and very powerful system that reacts to unpredictability. Psychologists call it a variable reward, and it's the exact same mechanism, discovered decades ago through experiments with pigeons, that makes slot machines the most profitable machines in an entire casino. Every time you refresh your feed, you're pulling that same lever. There's also a lesser-known effect researchers found. They call it attention residue. When you switch from one task to another, part of your brain actually keeps chewing on the old task, so you're never fully present in the new one. That's why a quick phone check in the middle of work costs you far more focus than the few seconds it seemed to take. And here's something that quietly flips the popular story about dopamine. Most people think dopamine gets released when you receive the reward, the like, the message, the win. But research shows it actually spikes hardest during anticipation, right before you know what's coming. That's why an unread notification often feels more compelling than one you've already opened. There's also something called the mere urgency effect. People will choose a task labeled as urgent over a task that is actually more important and more rewarding, purely because it feels time-sensitive. Distraction doesn't need to be interesting to win your attention, it just needs to feel urgent. Now here's something that might surprise you even more. This isn't new at all. When the printing press made novels cheap and widely available centuries ago, moral commentators publicly panicked that reading novels was addictive and would rot the minds of young people, almost word for word the same argument used against smartphones today. Even monks in medieval monasteries wrote complaints about their own wandering, restless minds during prayer, unable to concentrate. Distraction is not a modern invention, only the industry profiting from it is modern. The term attention economy itself is also much older than the internet. An economist used it back in 1971, decades before smartphones existed, and made a point that still lands perfectly today, that a wealth of information creates a poverty of attention. But this goes even deeper than apps and algorithms. This is a much bigger cultural pattern. Modern society quietly rewards being busy, being reachable, being available at all times. Answering instantly is seen as professional, being unreachable is seen as almost suspicious. Meanwhile, deep focus, actually sitting with one task for hours, has become almost invisible. Nobody claps for it, nobody sees it on social media, because you weren't posting anything, you were just working. So distraction gets applauded, while focus, the thing that actually produces mastery and real results, quietly disappears from what feels normal. Let me make this real with a few examples. Think about the last time you sat down to watch just one video, and be honest, how many times has one video turned into an hour? That's not you being lazy, that's autoplay and recommendation design specifically removing the one natural stopping point your brain used to rely on, the moment a show ended and you had to consciously choose to keep going. Second example, the modern workplace, constant messaging apps and instant notifications create an expectation of immediate replies. Research on interruptions found it can take over 20 minutes to fully return to deep focus after just one single distraction. So an employee getting pinged every 10 minutes never actually reaches deep focus at all, they just feel busy and exhausted by 5 o'clock without being able to explain what they truly accomplished. Interestingly, business itself has quietly become a status symbol. Studies on how people perceive each other found that someone who describes themselves as slammed or busy is often judged as more important than someone who describes having free time. So the system doesn't just reward distraction, it rewards looking distracted too. And here's the one that really gets me. Think of a parent sitting on the floor with their kid, who just built something out of blocks, proud, looking up and saying, "Look what I made." The parent is right there, physically present, but their phone buzzes, and for 3 seconds their eyes go down. 3 seconds, that's it, but that kid remembers that look away far more than we think, not because the parent doesn't love them, but because in that moment, an anonymous notification won a battle against a real human connection, a battle it was specifically designed to win. That's the real cost of quietly rewarded distraction. It's not just lost time, it's lost moments we can never get back. So let's bring this together. Modern society doesn't reward distraction by accident, it rewards it because distraction is profitable, because it looks like productivity, and because constant availability has quietly replaced real focus as the thing we praise. Here's the good news though, once you understand the mechanism, you can make small deliberate choices against it. Boredom, the thing we try hardest to avoid, actually activates a part of the brain linked directly to creativity and problem solving. Constant distraction may be quietly cutting you off from your best thinking, not protecting you from wasted time. Start small, turn off notifications you don't truly need, and give yourself 1 hour a day, just one, where your phone sits in another room, and you do a single thing without switching. That one habit alone can quietly hand a piece of your attention back to you. Because in a world that profits from your distraction, choosing to focus, even for 25 minutes, is honestly a quiet act of rebellion. So tell me in the comments, what's the one thing that distracts you the most during your day? I actually read these, and I would love to know I'm not the only one fighting this. If this video made you see your phone a little differently, hit subscribe, because I'm breaking down how modern life quietly shapes our habits every single week, and I'll see you in the next one. Disclaimer. The content provided on this channel is for informational, educational, and entertainment purposes only and does not constitute financial, investment, legal, or tax advice. All opinions, analyses, and statements expressed are based on personal experience, personal research, and publicly available information and are subject to change without notice. No guarantee is made regarding the accuracy, completeness, or reliability of any information presented. Investing in stocks, cryptocurrencies, ETFs, or any other financial instruments involves substantial risk and may result in a partial or complete loss of capital. Past performance does not guarantee future results. Nothing on this channel should be interpreted as a recommendation, solicitation, or endorsement to buy or sell any securities or financial products. All investment decisions are made solely at your own risk and responsibility. Viewers should conduct their own independent research and consult with a licensed financial advisor, tax professional, or legal advisor before making any financial decisions. The creator of this channel assumes no liability for any financial losses, damages, or other consequences arising directly or indirectly from the use of the information provided in this content.